You know, what I want to talk about today is how I've made my living for the last few years as a caregiver. And what I saw as a caregiver, I worked in private homes, assisted living homes, independent living homes for different clients. And I noticed how a certain demographic of clients that I cared for were prepared for long-term assisted living. They had set aside money to do that, and they were able to afford to live either in their own homes or, again, in an assisted living or independent living type style homes. And so, what I see with our culture is that we're not prepared for the long term. We're not prepared for the retirement years, for the golden years. Um, when you see our culture, we typically find ourselves either in a nursing home or a living with our children, our family members, in a spare bedroom, relying on Social Security or perhaps a pension. But I've not seen any of our culture in a long term program like an assisted living or independent living program, or even for that fact of the matter, in their own homes. Sometimes they are in their own homes, and it's uh, not anything elaborate. It's something they just raise their family in. And so it got me to thinking, why does our culture not prepare for the inevitable? Um, the getting old and the golden years, and being able to still be independent or take care of ourselves or plan for our retirement or our long-term care. We end up in the back bedrooms or spare bedrooms of our children's home, or our children end up coming to live with us in the home they grew up in, and that may not be much happening nowadays because a lot of our the older ones from that era have passed on. But it just got me to thinking though, because I'm 57 years old and I am not prepared to retire at all. I made a joke. There was a video on either Instagram or something like that of this assisted living or independent living home, and it had um, a bunch of older people, a bunch of old people. They were in their probably in their 80s or something, but it was so hilarious because they got recorded having this party, and these old people were dancing and they were jamming um, to the music, and I mean just getting down. And I kind of laughed to myself, but then I I shared it on Facebook and I tagged my daughter in it, and I said to her, when y'all get ready to put me in a home, this is the kind of home that I want to live in. Now, mind you, I'm looking at this video, and this video is in an assisted living place, and it's got this nice, big, beautiful dining room, and nice furniture and everything, and the people are happy and dancing. So that's all I'm focused on is the people being happy and dancing. And I'm like, so I tagged my daughter, and I'm like, when y'all get ready to put me in a home, this is where I want to be. I want to be like this. And my daughter made a interesting response in the comment. She said, "Girl, you better be happy in the back bedroom at my house because this is too expensive." And that got me to thinking, like, whoa, she's right. That is too expensive. I mean, it does cost to live in those places. I see it because I work in them every day. And I'm like, that made me think, how come our culture never thinks about our future and how we plan to live out the rest of our lives? We just think, oh, when mom or dad gets old, they'll be in a back bedroom somewhere. They'll come move in with us, or we'll move in with them, or maybe they'll have to go to a nursing home. We never think, how can we plan for our long-term care? How can we set ourselves up to be um, independent but not dependent on our children and grandchildren to be, to take care of us? Now, granted, I've gone into some homes where our culture, we in taking some care of a lot of our clients sometimes, and but they're getting very minimal care because they're relying on Medicaid or Medicare to cover the expenses. So they don't get the elaborate care that others get when they plan for the inevitable. Maybe they had their home they might have sold, and that money's being used to take care of them throughout the rest of their lives, or um, they've had a um, some investments that were set up. Whatever it is, however they got to that position, they're able to finance it without a problem. And their children, set them up the way that they request to be set up. But for us, we're like thinking, where can I go? Or, how am I going to care for my mom or my dad in their old age? I think right now, because my mother, she is in her 80s, she's still in pretty good health. Um, but as I told you, she raised us on welfare. So she doesn't have a 401k or a pension or anything. She lives off Social Security. And if she gets to the point where she cannot take care of herself, then that responsibility will fall on one of her children to either move in with her or move her in with them. Um, Senior citizens building, nursing home, it would be about the only thing we could do because she didn't plan for that the inevitable future, and that's something that we don't do. We're not taught to think about the end of our life, the retirement years. We're taught to think about surviving, earning money, paying our bills, raising our children, taking care of the immediate expenses. And then once all that's done, we haven't put anything away for ourselves. And so with my journey here from welfare to winning, I want to talk about that because we're not having those conversations, and we need to have those conversations because our people are struggling now. Financially, it's hard for us to make ends meet. And most of us, we either have children um, that we're raising and parents that are getting older. My children are all grown, thank goodness for that. But I do have a mom that's getting older, and I'm getting older. And she's not in a position to take care of herself should something go completely um, off the rail, you know, like I said, she's healthy now, but then I'm not in a position to go and take care of her either, right? So now I've got to think about, how do I set myself up so that I'm not the responsibility of my children, and in the next 3 or 4 or 5 years, what if my mom goes down? How can I be in a position to even help her, right? So this is this is part of my journey, and this is part of my goal, is to have the conversations with you about whether or not um, you're in a position to take care of yourself when you get to that point. Um, do you have elderly parents that you have to be concerned about? Now we need to start to have the conversation with them, with ourselves, with our own children, about what we need to do to make sure that we are financially able to sustain ourselves. Now, whether that means living in your own home or whatever, we need to have that conversation. So, we as a culture, we've always been surviving and not thriving. But it's not too late. We can change that. We can change that course. We were never meant to just survive. We were meant to thrive. So, if this is a conversation you want to have, if you think we should have more of these conversations, subscribe to my channel, hit the like button on this video, make a comment, let me know what you think about um, where you are in your life and what we can do to make it better. How can we get out of the survival mode and get into to the thriving mode? Really prepare ourselves for the future, for our future, and the kind of life we want to live, okay? So that's what I want to talk about today in this video. I really think that this is an important conversation to have within the community, okay? So please like my video, share my video, um, check out my digital products that helps you get from welfare to winning, by focusing on a budget and getting started in planning. And I hope you enjoy this video. Talk to you soon. Thanks.